Hi everyone, we're here at John Sadler's Auto Repair, and we have a 1999 Subaru Legacy all-wheel drive today that we're working on, and it's got a bad wheel bearing. It's got a noise in the front suspension. So this is the front hub here, and the wheel bearing's inside of here. Now you can see this has a lot of rust on here. So I went to take the bolt off of the speed sensor, and the bolt just broke off like this. And then I went to take the bolt off down here on the lower ball joint, and the bolt just rounded off. What I was going to do is take this spindle off and then put it in a press and show you how to change the bearing and everything on it. Well, I took the nut off and hit on the end of this. None of this will come apart. It's all stuck together. So what you can do is we were able to get the tie rod off of here. We had to drill the cotter pin out because it was so rusty. We got the tie rod off there. We got the 2 bolts off the strut. And we got the 2 bolts off the lower control arm. There's a bolt with a nut here. Then there's 2 bolts with nuts up in the frame. And then there's a roll pin and a spline shaft on the end of the axle. So what you can do when you have something rusted together, you take all the major components around it off. So a quick recap is we took the tie rod off, we took the sway bar link off, took the lower control arm bolts off, took the pin, slid the axle back, and took it off the strut. And that way we just took the whole thing off and dropped it on the ground. And now you just have the open space up inside of here where we're going to put everything back together again. But you can just see there's a lot of rust around inside this vehicle. So then what we did is we went to a wrecking yard, and come on over here and I'll show you what we got. We got a good used hub, and the bearing on it feels pretty good. I won't know if it's making any noise or not until I go drive the vehicle, but this bearing feels better than the other one. So when you put these side by side, when you're looking at rust issues, this vehicle came from Chicago. So when you see all this in here like that, and you see that, so that's just from the salt on the roads and things like that, that's what caused this axle to get stuck in there, and it caused the bolt to strip off on the ball joint. So there's no way I could take this apart. So we got another steering knuckle with a hub on it. And we got a lower control arm with the ball joint already on it, and the rubber boots in good shape and everything. The bushings are in good shape on the control arm. And I got another axle because the axle's stuck. These splines are rusted in the other one. Well, these have splines. It's got splines inside of there, so it's rusted inside there. It won't come out. So that's a little tip from John Sadler. If you got things that won't come apart, you can just drop a whole assembly out of the car like that, because you're going to be there forever trying to get those broken bolts off, trying to heat it up with a torch and do all kinds of things like that. It's going to be a nightmare. So I dropped that whole assembly out of there. Still took quite a bit of time because of the rust. The parts I did have to get off. And I was able to find some used parts, and we're going to put it all back together tomorrow. We have a new bolt we're waiting for. There's this has a round space right there, and that's where the bolt goes that holds it in. Because this goes up inside that steering knuckle there. And there's a bolt that holds that in, and I'm getting the factory bolt from Subaru tomorrow for that bolt, because the other one we can't use. Everything else we can use again, but it's just one of those things when you're doing suspension work and you have a lot of rust and a lot of corrosion issues, you want to just get whole other parts, take a whole assembly out of there, dump that whole thing on the ground, and give it to the scrap metal guy so he can come pick it up and take that with him. Take a picture of that, yeah, so he can see that and just get rid of it. And it's not going to come apart. It's not worth it. It's just a waste of time to work on things like that. So as a quick recap, we got another lower control arm. We got a good used hub spindle assembly. The bearing feels pretty good in it. We got a good axle. I found a good place in Fresno, California, where I get a lot of my parts, and they package the parts real well. I don't get things that are damaged, and the things actually work for the consumer. Because if you buy all these parts new, it costs a fortune. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.